Happy Halloween, babe. Welcome to the Horror Babe Show. I'm your host, Chelsea Beller, and we have a monster-making guest on today, Adam Milicevic. Adam is a fellow horror fan, as well as a concept artist for Legacy Effects here in Los Angeles. Adam and I discuss his various creature-related professions, his time with the aliens and predators at Universal in Japan, his latest cross-species project, and how he really feels about the horror movies that inspire him. Don't be afraid, my lovelies. This is a spine-tingling episode you won't want to miss. Hi, welcome to the Horror Babe Show. I'm your host, Chelsea Beller, and today we have Adam Milicevic on. Did I pronounce that correctly?
No.
Okay.
It's Adam Milicevic.
Milicevic.
Yeah.
Milicevic.
The C's are CH's.
Okay.
They're supposed to be spelled with like little U's over the C's, but we didn't. When my family came, they didn't change the.
Where is that from?
Former Yugoslavia, but Serbia. So, yeah.
Yeah. Did they immigrate?
My dad immigrated, and then my mom's grandfather immigrated.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
she's half Irish, half Serbian, and then my dad's full Serbian, and then...
Have you been back there? Do you have, I'm assuming you have family there?
Ish, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, there's, like, distant relatives and stuff. I went and visited, like, Serbia, Bosnia, Croatia and stuff some years back, and, you know, it was nice to see.
Yeah.
Like, just sort of understand...
Your
roots,
yeah.
if you will.
Yeah.
You know, there's like toilets that just go to holes in grounds in some places, and so it's like thankful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes.
Adam and Mike Monahan, who's behind the camera, have been friends for a while now, and now we're friends.
Mm-hmm.
And but you two met through another friend, right? Or through
we
a
met
community.
We met through our friend Adam. I had done. I used to do like art direction and design for Universal Studios Japan for Halloween Horror Nights, and so one year we did an Alien vs Predator maze, and then that's when Adam kind of reached out, just kind of interested in it when we opened, and then we clicked, and so now there's a nice little network of fandom.
Well, I know Mike has a lot of friends from AVP.
But everyone,
That is one of the coolest things you've told me is about this AVP maze. Can you talk about that and like?
It was part of the Halloween Horror Nights lineup back. Geez, like 8 or 9 years ago.
Wow.
Now, it was a fun project because, the timelines we would work with over there are very different than the timelines that they kind of do stuff here with.
Right.
So pretty much we built that thing. We designed it, and then we built the whole thing in kind of 3 weeks. And so it was.
It's like no time at all.
No, but it's just kind of how we do things over there. And then it was really fun because at the time I was working with Jonathan Kassan, who was in charge of licensing at Fox and stuff.
Okay.
And so they kind of connected me with him, and I wanted to do fun stuff, So just more expanded universe stuff, because I liked the comics when I was growing up.
Right.
And he was great. He was anything that's been licensed and released. And I looked a lot at how NECA was sort of reinterpreting the old toys and stuff like that.
Right.
So it was fun because he goes, you can pull from anything that's licensed and released. And so
cool.
At the time, Aliens Colonial Marines had come out on Xbox and whatnot. And so I actually was able to use a lot of that for set reference.
Nice.
and doing a little bit of costume reference from it.
Yeah.
And but then just sort of we make things contextually relevant
right.
to like what the guests are experiencing.
Right. Sure.
So, we built a haunted house in a tent. So I was like, it's like a quarantine tent.
Yeah.
There's a little outbreak on Earth or whatever. And
Totally.
so we kind of just did our own little story with it and stuff. But
That's
it was
so cool.
fun because we put like little Easter eggs in. Like there were like our aliens were, or our predators were holding like little Kenner toy weapons from back in the day and stuff. And
cool.
a handful of people, like, they're like, oh, those are those things. And
Yeah.
it's like,
They like really appreciated it.
yeah, the 5 people that knew what it was. But yeah, it was a fun time. It was probably my favorite thing that I've worked on there, just because
Yeah.
it was like, we got like ADI was kind enough to like lend molds and stuff to
That's
Pat
awesome.
McGee to produce
Yeah.
aliens for us. So we were working with stuff from Requiem, and it was just
So cool.
first time seeing a lot of that stuff like full size and in person.
Right,
So
yeah.
it was nice. And then we also like one of the things that the year prior that the other Universals didn't do is they never built like they had like a queen, but they never did the abdomen,
Oh.
and they didn't do, or at least I didn't see like a full-fledged hive. So
Right.
so they were really supportive in doing that, because I was like, hey, I really want to do this and set this apart, and
Yeah.
and this is going to make this stand out, and we did. We built a hive with cocoon predators and an alien queen with a translucent abdomen and
Oh my
stuff.
God.
And it was fun.
Yeah.
It's still like
In 3 weeks.
in 3 weeks. Yeah. We do piecemeal it out, and so we have different companies and vendors working at the same time.
Right.
And it just kind of all comes together like in the
Yeah.
twilight hour.
So were you part of the process from creative to like actually physically putting everything together?
Yeah, I mean, like to a degree. I mean, when
Yeah.
you're like art directing and designing that stuff, you're focused on dealing with the licensor and making sure you're
Right.
in their bounds,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you're trying to maintain like the performance director. They're coming up with ideas and stuff
Sure.
like that, and so you're kind of like brokering everyone's stuff while just sort of making sure you're hitting the mark at the end of it.
Yeah.
And so, but with that, there's like certain little tasks, like spattering blood, or
Right.
hey, let's build a mock-up for this. So you get to like pick what you want to do kind of at the end.
That's
Like just
awesome.
to add that little bit of polish. And
Yeah.
so I would always like tend to do like set dressing and like just little blood spatters and stuff like that, just because those were things I was particular about.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you're just sort of like leading a team, basically.
Yeah.
You're just sort of working in tandem with your producer and your director.
So
and,
cool.
Yeah,
I love that.
it's fun.
Yeah.
And you create friends. It's kind of like
Yeah.
bonds through trauma,
Yeah.
basically.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
But,
amazing.
Yeah, I can't. It was that was a really neat experience.
Yeah.
So I was pretty happy I got to do that.
How did you get that? I don't even do you apply for something like that or
I mean, yeah, you can always apply for jobs like that are
Sure.
listed, but the reality of it is, it's like creative industries, like it's a lot of word of mouth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when you build trust with people, you get called to do things or
Right.
recommended for things. It's just sort of like doing that's really just all based on relationships you build as you
Right.
as you work.
Yeah.
And so like at the time in Japan, they were kind of focused on a younger audience for years.
Yeah.
And then they wanted to start introducing some more mature audience entertainment.
Sure.
And they do haunted houses. Like the story kind of starts like years before the AVP maze.
Okay.
So they'll do haunted houses during their holiday called Obon, which is in the summer, and forgive me if I'm describing it wrong, but it's like when the spirits of your family come back to visit home.
Okay.
And so everyone goes home and visits their family,
Yeah.
and because there's sort of this very spiritual sort of environment over there. So they'll do their haunted houses in the summer.
Yeah.
And so
okay.
there's a lot of like little yokai houses and
Yeah.
ghost houses and stuff like that.
Neat.
So Universal started doing that. They did a summer house. It was The Mummy. It was years prior to that.
Cool.
And pretty much my associates in the company heard, oh, they're going to do this.
Yeah.
We kind of know just the guy. And I was like a performer in college, like,
Nice.
And so they were like, oh, he knows this stuff. And so someone recommended me, and then it was
Yeah.
just kind of there. I did a good job once, and then you do another good job, and then they just keep calling you. And then I wound up going back and forth for like 8 years up until the lockdown.
Right.
So, yeah.
Is that part of what you do now, or what do you do now?
Now I do concept art and
Okay.
design and 3D modeling at Legacy Effects.
Yeah.
So I do that full time, and then on the side I do, just little freelance stuff here and there, and then
Yeah.
I'll make toys and whatnot. But I focus after doing sort of that, I guess, I don't know, corporate kind of art direction. I've
Right.
been making efforts to kind of like do things I want to do at the
Yeah.
moment. So
Kind of
yeah,
shuffling out of the.
just back to basics, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. How long have you been with Legacy?
About 3 years now.
3 years. So
I
like
think coming on 3 years.
since the pandemic, essentially.
Yeah, yeah.
And do you like it there?
Oh yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the stuff that comes through there is just so diverse.
Yeah.
Like you don't really get bored.
Sure.
So, and with them, that they're constantly reinventing the wheel. So it's a great place to sharpen your teeth.
Yeah.
As far as really any kind of skill set you want to do, because it's they maintain a really high standard.
Yeah.
So, which can be daunting at times.
Of course.
But,
Yeah. What, obviously you don't have to talk about current projects, but what is something you've worked on there that you're really proud of?
The last thing that kind of came out that it's at least in my portfolio is Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Cool.
And so we were tasked with sort of developing the humanimal characters.
Okay.
There was tons of stuff and characters that we did work on. It was Adam Warlock, High Evolutionary and stuff. And then the humanimals was like sort of my favorite thing, just because
Okay.
we did this. We did sort of this all hands on deck design effort. So we had a
Nice.
lot of like just very eclectic
Yeah.
voices, amongst the crowd, so to speak, for that. So, so like as you go through like kind of every designer, they can pick out something they did. That was
that's
my
really
favorite effort,
cool.
because it kind of
Yeah.
everyone was involved and included.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like the first big thing I got to do something like that on.
Right.
And so, that was just kind of near and dear to me, because it's just like, there was so much freedom on it. Like you
Yeah.
could see every design was just sort of each artist's voice.
Yeah.
And so it was very fulfilling once that came out,
That's
because
so cool.
I had worked on the Behemoth character, which was the eagle bird cyborg,
Okay.
and and that was like a fun little back and forth, design wise, because it was like, oh, we like the face, can we do this body, and then like we like his
Sure.
legs, like like I think Scott Patton and Rob Bliss had done something that they liked. So you sort of just like all the artists do their voice, and then they pick the cherries, and then everyone does their version of that.
Yeah.
And so that was just very cool. But we would, we sculpt and design stuff in 3D, and the production and the VFX team was like really, I guess, respectful of the original designs, because they just like translated them verbatim,
Oh,
and it was
amazing.
And a lot of times you'll see like, little tweaks or something
Sure.
we didn't account for in the design
Right.
and whatnot, and,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
but they were like, no,
They really stayed true
They
to-
stayed true to everything,
Yeah.
and like just like it was
That's so
perfect
cool.
drag and drop almost of
Yeah.
it too. So that was just everything, just sort of maintaining like each artist's voice and everything, and then you see
Yeah.
it on screen, and like that was probably that's probably actually my current favorite project I've done so far. So
Nice. I
yeah.
love that. Well, I guess we should talk about horror movies.
Oh yes, that's the theme.
That's the theme.
That's the theme.
That's what we're doing. What, if you have one, is your favorite horror movie or horror series, or like top 3? You have options.
Okay. I mean, honestly, like I really enjoyed Ex Machina.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is, I think, more of psychological thriller.
Yeah.
But I like the horror. I mean, it's like that sort of temperament of horror
Right.
where it's just oh God, what have I done?
Yeah.
I think Ex Machina is kind of like up there for me. It
was a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was kind of underappreciated in ways.
Yeah.
Horror. And then like on the flip side of it, like there's not really a middle for me. So it's like,
Okay.
I like things with just like a very poignant, like kind of commentary on stuff,
Yeah.
or I like Friday the 13th Part 6. I just I like that schlock,
Yeah.
but the like sort of
That's
that,
funny.
like that Monster Squad temperament of schlock where it's like, okay, I'm gonna make sure Jason's dead. I'm gonna stab him with a lightning rod, and I'm gonna resurrect him. And it's one of those things like you're like, yeah, this all checks out.
Yeah, that's
I
great.
get it.
Yeah.
Like, and you just keep going with it,
Yeah.
and you just go for the ride.
Yeah.
And it's like Monster Squad. It's just like, I don't know. Like, I'm a Monster Squad person, not a Goonies person.
Okay.
Because there's something about that level of lunacy in the story, and then everyone is just like, this is what we're doing. Yes.
Yeah.
Like, this is real. But it really just pulls you in.
Yeah.
And so I like stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
just like way out in left field.
Right.
And everyone's taken serious, or just super low key, subtle, and then you're just like, oh no, what was that?
Yeah.
Like, so that's kind of where I stand with that
Yeah.
stuff. But
You told me you recently watched the new Exorcist.
yeah, I did.
I have not yet, but I would love to know your thoughts on it.
Well, I'm like,
'Cause we watched the trailer together,
yeah, we did.
and we're all like, huh.
So, I mean, the original Exorcist was great.
Yeah.
In its own right. And I
Yeah.
know there's the argument of like contemporizing a theme like that, and I think
Sure.
there's always this sort of conversation you need to have where it's like, are you trying to recreate what you had,
Right.
or are you trying to find the spirit that's akin to what that was doing,
Right.
if that makes sense?
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know, like if the Munsters, I think, is a good example. They redid the Munsters,
Right.
and I've heard mixed reviews in its own right, and I think everything looked good to a degree.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, okay, you've recreated these characters,
Mhm.
and they are who they are, and we're getting this, and it's sorry. And so, okay, here are the Munsters now, right?
Yeah.
And they're done in kind of a way that, like, they omit 2 of the characters that sort of made that ensemble.
Sure.
And it's like, okay, but it doesn't necessarily ring like it did, you
Right.
know.
Kind of like Wednesday and the Addams Family. I
Ye-
don't know if you watched that.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I enjoyed it for the most part. You
Yeah.
know, I like, it's very, it looks very formulaic. There's formulaic elements to it,
Right.
as far as what's hot right now, what sells. Let's put Wednesday in Hogwarts
Yeah.
and this and that.
Yeah.
I understand,
Hogwarts.
like, taking characters and putting them through
Yeah.
narratives that are, palatable, and you're trying to reach other audiences.
Sure.
Like, it's all a business. I get it.
Yeah.
But like when you have something like the original Exorcist, where that's once again, that's a character driven thing, because you're focusing on like the mother's
Yeah.
the shake in her beliefs, the priest's guilt,
Yeah.
and then the priest's history with this particular demon,
Yeah.
and then so you have all this stuff going on,
Right.
and then you have this this moral that like, like protecting people from this thing is worth dying for.
Right.
And then I don't, not to spoil it or anything, but then you have the new Exorcist, which is like, I describe things as like monster truck commercials sometimes, because it's like, like in Force Awakens, there was like, you remember the old Death Star, here's a bigger circle,
Right.
and it's like, okay,
It's a bigger circle.
I get it. We're upping the ante,
Uh-huh.
and so it's like, we had one girl,
Right.
now we have two
Now it's
girls,
two.
yeah, and
Crazy.
and so I get that. I can forgive things like that. But in particularly with like the narratives and like I appreciated, doing different elements like, bringing in different religions and to
Okay.
combat this thing. Like,
Right.
I like entertaining the idea that like that there is an evil force,
Right.
that people interpret differently through different cultures
Right,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. I do think when there's like too much of that, you can start muddying things. I don't think like Exorcist was. It's such an intimate subject.
Yeah.
It's such an intimate subject that like I think you need like less people involved. Do you know what I
Sure,
mean? Like
yeah.
you need to sit with those characters.
Yeah.
And this one kind of felt like Independence Day,
Oh, okay.
where you create this ensemble cast of very
Yeah.
likable people and they pull the audience along, but ultimately they result in fodder. Like they're there to give weight to like
Right.
big destruction or big scenes, because
Yeah.
it's like, why would we care about this? Oh, we care
Right.
about that guy.
Yeah.
You know.
Pulling at the heartstrings a little.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of what I found in this new one.
Got it.
Is it just kind of like it just felt very tepid.
Yeah.
And like I was saying, in this current climate of horror that we've had for like the past 5 years, doing like things like Hereditary, which not a big fan of, but that movie does what it needs to do.
Yeah.
And even the show Evil, which I am a huge fan of, because it takes 3 people of different belief systems, basically.
Okay.
They put importance in different things in their life, whether it's psychology and science and then faith.
Sure.
And each one of their things gets rattled throughout the show.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
there's never definitive yes or no, this is what they're dealing with. Like
Right.
it's always it's always things that can be explained,
Yeah.
but it's never things that they can like fully explain, so they're
Right.
always left questioning.
Yeah.
And I think when you do with nice vignettes of writing, like horror writing, just really good horror writing out
Yeah.
there now, like it's just kind of was a letdown
Yeah.
overall, because I was like, I really like, I thought they were going to take the foundations of the first one and what
Right.
made that film important then,
Yeah.
and then you sort of redirect it here.
Sure.
And the reason I talked about the monsters is like you have the concept of like, okay, monsters in the modern world.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah.
Like take the approach of like, what does that look like? Do you like find the spirit of what an awkward Frankenstein would be?
Yeah.
Like maybe make him a Will Ferrell character, like that, like a similar energy
Yeah.
to how we see it now.
Yeah.
And like I think what we do in the shadows, it's the monsters. It's the new monsters. Like
I see
like
that.
that's what it is.
Uh-huh.
That's what it's delivering, what the original monsters delivered to people.
Right.
It was like, oh, these crazy characters in
Yeah,
this
so
world.
kooky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
except they're doing it in in a way that we absorb it more
Yeah.
naturally,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah.
If that, you know what I mean? Like it's just like,
Absolutely.
oh, they're speaking our language. They're doing it in an established comedy style of The Office and the original
Yeah.
film, and it just kind of works better in its own right.
Yeah. Such a great show, by the way. I love that show.
Yeah, I have not caught up, so
You gotta catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard.
Yeah.
So
We're back. Yeah, we're back. Well, my last question My last question
Mm-hmm.
is my favorite question. It's why do we keep coming back for more? Why do we as a horror community continue to watch these continue to watch these horror movies that scare us to our core over and over again? Why do we like the scare?
I mean,
It's a hard question.
for the most part, everything's very safe
Mm-hmm.
in our world.
Yeah.
To a degree.
To a degree, yes.
And, I don't know, I just think it's something people crave.
Yeah.
I mean, even in...
The thrill.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's it's a release of adrenaline, and, and there are adrenaline junkies, but
Sure.
I think it's like, it just makes you feel alive for a second. Like,
Yeah.
just you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think, we live in a world of routine.
Sure. Yeah.
Most of the
absolutely.
time.
Most of the time, yeah.
So it's like going into horror, I think, it's filling something
Yeah.
for us. Whether it's
Yeah.
like you're watching the movie or you're going through a haunted house, you're getting...
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like healthy. It's a release of stress,
I think so.
and tension.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just something that people, I don't know, crave once in a while.
Yeah.
It balances us.
Maybe we need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, human beings used to be, preyed upon by
Right.
larger things.
Yeah.
And we don't really have that anymore.
Yeah.
Like we prey upon ourselves.
Yeah. Sad but true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, so we don't have that outside element of
Right.
suspense in our day to day.
Yeah.
Aside from where your paycheck's coming from and
Exactly.
stuff,
Yeah.
which is its own horror.
Yeah.
But,
Yes, it is.
But I think it's just something like we, primally crave to experience, once in
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
That,
like,
that makes sense
it's
to me.
elemental, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was also going to ask, your current profession, is that what you would want to do for the rest of your life? Or would you want to move on? What is like the end goal for you, I guess?
I mean, I always feel that, like, regardless of, why you go to the film industry or do this, like,
Yeah.
everyone, like, wants to direct,
Sure.
And so, whether or not, like, time will tell how well suited, we all are for different roles moving into, productions and stuff like that. But it's like at the core, I've just always wanted to, like, just create things that are like, what I
Yeah.
want to see out there,
Yeah.
basically. And, so that's like the ultimate goal is like I'm blessed to, work with the people I work with, and they're
Right.
responsible for creating a lot of the things that, put all of us on the paths that we're on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether, it's Aliens, it's Predator, it's Jurassic Park, like all of those things are elemental.
Yeah.
And so, there's like knocking out goals along the way. You want to be a part of those franchises, or maybe, be on the fringe of
Yeah.
them, and that's fun to do. And,
Totally.
and it's, it's an honor to do, and,
Yeah.
and it's very rare. But like, I think ultimately we all want to like put our thing out there,
Yeah.
like whether it's, we want to do something we like and no one's ever seen, but at the core of all that, everything's kind of like a love letter to the things that shaped us,
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, like, yeah, I mean, the ultimate goal is to, let everything run its appropriate course and do the next thing. So, yeah, what that is, it's obviously creating your own film and
Yeah.
TV show and,
Something.
you
Anything.
just, influencing
Yeah.
others to do so, whatever.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it's just, the goal is to keep it going,
That's a good
basically.
goal.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I hope to see one of your creations on the silver screen
Yeah,
at some point.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for
And I
having
just
me
feel
on.
like we were just sitting here chatting, and we didn't have these bulky microphones in front of us.
I know. It's yeah.
Yeah.
It was nice. I recommend everyone come out and do an interview.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Well, thanks for tuning in. This has been the Horror Babe Show with your host, Chelsea Beller. And make sure to like, comment, follow, subscribe, all the fun, cool things that you do with just one finger, preferably your index. Okay. Bye, babe.
Thanks for joining the Horror Babe Show. If you enjoyed this chilling adventure into the world of horror, make sure to like, comment, review, and subscribe. I hope you had a spooky Halloween without any missing kitchen knives or razors in your candy. Till next time, babe.